and a warm welcome to the first substantive lecture of the module Managing and Developing People and Organizations. You are now moving from the induction part, getting to know the program, resource and each other, to the actual content of how to manage and develop people and organizations. Today's lecture provides an introduction to the rest of the module and also covers the two topics that you will be studying in your online module during this fortnight. Topic 1 is Introduction to Organizational Behavior and Management. It is the topic of this week's online self-guided lesson. And topic 2 is Evidence-Based Management. It's the topic of the next week's online lesson. Today's lecture consists of 5 sections. In the first section, we will introduce you to the subject matter of this module, the topics that this module covers, and the learning process. We will return to the issue of learning process in the final section of the lecture, where we will discuss the methods of assessment. In the second section, you will learn about organizational behavior. In the third section, we will consider what is management and what do managers do. In the fourth section, we will discuss an evidence-based approach to management practice, and decision-making. And in the final section, we will explain how you will be assessed. In the first part of our lecture, we will explore the subject matter of this module, the knowledge areas you will be learning, and the skills that you will be developing. This module, as its title suggests, is about how to manage and develop people and organizations. The module covers 2 interrelated subject areas, organizational behavior and human resource management. Both subjects feed into the practice of management. What is organizational behavior? The term organizational behavior refers to 2 things. Firstly, to the actual behavior of individuals and groups in organizations, and secondly, to a field of study that seeks the knowledge of all aspects of human behavior in organizations. Now, I would like you to take a moment to ponder a simple question. Who was the single worst co-worker you've ever had? You can picture your peers, your subordinates, your supervisors in your current organization or in an organization for which you have worked previously. What did this person do to earn the worst co-worker status in your books? Did this person perhaps disregard advice and sometimes even direct instructions from their peers and superiors? Were they resistant to any and every form of change, even when changes were beneficial? Did they whine and complain, no matter what was happening? Were they too lazy to show up to even the required meetings and functions, let alone the optional ones? Did they make fun of newcomers or people who struggled to get their job done? Were they the first to leave for lunch and the last to come back? Now take a moment to consider who was the single best co-worker you've ever had. And again, think, what did this person do to earn the best co-worker status? Did their behaviors look like some or most of the behaviors shown here? I'll pause for a minute and let you read this list on your own. Finished? Okay. When you find yourself working alongside the people like the best and the worst co-worker we have profiled here, 2 questions would be foremost on your mind. Why does the worst co-worker act that way? And why does the best co-worker act that way? Once you understand why these 2 individuals act so differently, you will be able to find the ways to interact with them more effectively. And if you're managing them, you will be able to help improve their attitudes and behaviors. Organizational behavior as a field of study brings you exactly the kind of knowledge that you need to understand, explain, and ultimately influence and improve the attitudes and behaviors of people and organizations. We will return to the subject of organizational behavior later in this lecture. But for now, let's define the second area that this module covers, human resource management. Like organizational behavior, human resource management is a term that has more than one meaning. Firstly, it refers to the actual people management activities, the activities involved in managing employment relations. It also refers to a specialist function within organizations, HR department or personnel department. And finally, it is also the name of a field of studies and a body of knowledge about managing people. We will provide a more detailed introduction to HRM in week 6. How do organizational behavior, human resource management, and the actual practice of management fit together? Well, firstly, organizational behavior fits directly into the management practice. Scholars in business schools, such as our school at the University of Leicester, conduct empirical research on organizational behavior. And through this research, they find out what factors affect various behaviors, and then they help to translate their findings into recommendations for practice. Organizational behavior also fits into human resource management research. Human resource management research takes the ideas from organizational behavior research and examines them in the context of HRM applications, and then the recommendations are passed on to management practitioners. And where do management practitioners learn about the recommendations from OB and HRM research? They do this firstly in a classroom, whether in formal education, as you're doing now, or through training provided by their organizations. They also learn by reading relevant publications, books, journals, and they also learn by following the guidelines developed by professional associations, as these guidelines are informed by OB and HRM research. For example, organizational behavior researchers examine how group size affects group performance, and this evidence is then used by practicing managers to construct effective work teams. Or, take another example, researchers in organizational behavior study how learning affects job performance. They then translate their findings into recommendations for training programs, and then researchers in human resource management take these recommendations and specify them further in the context of organizational HRM systems. They test them for fit with other HRM practices, they test them for feasibility, for compliance with legal requirements, and then based on this further research, HRM scholars provide guidance on developing and evaluating training programs. What do you need to know to manage people and organizations? In this module, you will learn about a wide range of matters that are crucial for people management. You will learn what affects individual behavior and behavior in groups, what is organizational culture, what is organizational structure, and how they influence people's behaviors. You will explore work analysis, recruitment and selection processes, performance, and reward management. You will consider learning, training and development, decision-making, and problem-solving. You will learn about motivation and communication, how to manage conflict, and how to manage change, how to manage in evidence-based way, and how to manage people across the world in international teams and organizations. And you will, of course, learn not just how to manage, but how to lead. This is a lot to take in, and we need a systematic way to organize this variety of topics. In fact, what we need is a logical framework. To place these topics into a logical framework, let us consider 3 levels at which we can think of behavior of people in organizations. Firstly, we can look at how each person acts by him or herself and what factors affect their behavior. This is the most basic, fundamental, individual level of analysis. Secondly, we can look at how people behave when they work and interact in groups and consider what affects the behavior of the group as a whole. This is the second, higher, more complex level of analysis in the sense that it concerns not a single individual, but several individuals together. Thirdly, we can look at the whole organization in its entirety and consider the factors that affect all members of the organization. This is the highest level of analysis and the most complex one, as it brings together many dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of individuals and pertains to actions and interactions of all these individuals singly and in groups. Obviously, the division into levels is somewhat artificial, as both individual and group behavior do not occur in vacuum. They occur in an organizational context. So all 3 levels are interconnected. Yet, it is still a useful framework for portraying behavior in organizations. So in this module, over the course of the remaining 21 weeks, you will progress from learning about individual to learning about people in groups to learning about the whole organization. More specifically, in weeks 4, 5, and 6, you will be introduced to organizational behavior, evidence-based management, and human resource management. In week 7, you will start looking at specific issues on the individual level. You will begin with work analysis, which is a structured HRM process that helps to uncover what tasks an individual employee performs and what knowledge, skills, and other attributes a person needs to have to perform these tasks successfully. Next, you will examine how individual traits, such as ability and personality, and individual processes, such as motivation, affect the behavior. And then you will focus on how the understanding of individual behavior helps us to recruit and select the individuals with the highest potential, devise reward systems to maintain and increase their motivation, and to manage their performance. In week 12, you will move up the level and will look into interpersonal and group processes. You will learn how different characteristics of groups and teams, such as group composition, and how the processes that occur as groups develop, such as group cohesiveness or polarization, affect the way in which individuals operate within the teams and the way the teams perform as a collective unit. And you will also learn about decision-making, training and development, communication, negotiation, and conflict. Finally, in week 18, you will reach the summit of your journey and observe the organization as a whole. You will learn what leadership is and how to lead. You will explore how to design organizational structures to support effective and efficient performance. You will discover how organizational cultures affect everything that happens in organizations. You will consider how to manage change, and you will discuss how globalization affects people management and what you need to know to manage in an international context. However, This module is not just about developing your knowledge of people behavior and of human resource management. Like all modules on your MBA program, this module is also about developing your skills. On this program, we aim to help you develop the skills that you require as a manager, both in your current position and progressing forward to more senior and ultimately top-level managerial positions. What are these skills? The range of skills a manager requires is very wide. You need conceptual, that is, thinking skills. The skills include decision-making, problem-solving, data analysis, information skills, the skills to think critically, strategically, and creatively, consultancy and research skills, the skills of integrating processes across various functional areas of an organization, and the skills of applying your knowledge to practice, as well as the skills of reflection and self-awareness. You also need interpersonal skills. These are the skills of building relationships, working with others, negotiating, resolving conflicts, the skills of influencing others, instilling trust, and of being sensitive to diverse cultures and workforces. You need the skills of leading, of managing performance, risk, and change, and the skills of managing in an ethical, socially responsible, and sustainable manner. You also need to develop professional values and the skills of acting professionally. Here's the full catalog of skills. And no, you're certainly not required to memorize it, but it is helpful to have the complete list for your reference. To emphasize the importance of skills and to draw your attention to skill development, we will signpost when you're developing what skill. We do this by including a skill matrix at the start of each online module unit and highlighting the skills that you will be developing in this particular unit. You may recall that you have already been introduced to the skill matrix in your induction. For each activity that you do in your online self-guided lesson, we note what skills this activity helps you develop. When you start a new self-guided lesson and when you do your activities, make sure to pause for a moment and reflect on what skills you are developing and how a particular activity helps you develop these skills. Now turning our attention to the learning process in the rest of the module, this will be structured similarly to your induction weeks. That is, every week you will have an online self-guided lesson, online readings, a lecture or a seminar, various activities, and a discussion in a Blackboard discussion forum. All your activities are set out and described in your online self-guided lesson. You have had a few different activities already in your first 3 weeks. From now onwards, we will differentiate between 2 types of activities. In the course of your online lesson, you will encounter several activities which are small practical exercises that help you to understand the material and learn it better. And then at the end of the lesson, you will have a bigger activity. We'll call it unit task. This is a more formal piece of work. It is set out in the final summary section of your online lesson. It's more formal because it not only requires you to do something, but it also asks you to produce a brief written output and to post this on a Blackboard discussion forum. Writing things out will help you internalize your learning. And when you will post from the unit task on Blackboard, it will allow us, the module leaders, to gauge your understanding of the material. It will also give us an opportunity to provide you with feedback. And it will also encourage you to read contributions of your classmates, share the ideas, and discuss the viewpoints. In addition to helping you learn a particular topic, unit tasks will help you develop your communication skills and to hone your ability to develop arguments and defend your position. rest of the module, lecture weeks will normally alternate with seminar weeks. What is distinctive about a lecture week? Well, obviously, you will have a lecture. Know that each lecture will normally cover 2 topics: the current week topic from your online self-guided lesson and the next week topic. For instance, today's lecture covers this week's topic, Introduction to Organizational Behavior and Management, and also the next week's topic, Evidence-Based Management. And in the lecture week, you will have a lecture-related discussion forum that will be on your all cohort discussion board. The forum will bear the number and the title of the respective lecture, and this is where you will be invited to post your questions about the lecture and your questions about the week's lesson. And that's where we, your module leaders, will provide the answers. The lecture discussion forum is also the place where you're required to post from that week's unit task and to engage in the discussion with your classmates about this week's task and topic. And that's where we will provide you with the feedback on your unit task postings. And what's then distinctive aspects of seminar weeks? Obviously, that's having a seminar rather than a lecture. And a seminar is a structured event that will require a considerable amount of preparation on your part. Preparation will entail your work on that week's unit task, and each seminar will include your presentations, either individually or in team. For each seminar, you will have a separate discussion forum on your study group discussion board. This is where you will post and discuss your unit task, and this is where you will conduct your pre-seminar discussions with your team, if the seminar is based on teamwork and presentations rather than on individual work and presentations. Each seminar and seminar discussion forum provides the opportunity for you to get a more in-depth understanding of the topic through debate and exchange of ideas. And the seminars also provide an opportunity for you to hone your presentation skills. Okay, so this completes our general introduction to the module, and I would like to invite you to move on to the next section when you're ready.